What's up? What's up, team? We're just waiting on Neutral. We're going to be going over our mindset shift today. That will be our topic for today.
Already in.
What's up? Hey, how you doing today?
All right. Look, I see we already in. It's already live.
Yeah, yeah. Should be good to go today. How you doing?
I'm good.
Cool. All right. So let's jump right into the topic today. Today, we are talking about the real reason most people never keep their results. Today, we are talking about the mindset and shift. All right. It's not about the workouts, it's not about the meal plan, it is not about motivation, it is about the mindset. And today, myself and Nitra will be breaking down why this is not a diet, it is an identity shift. And we're going to be talking about why people keep restarting their fitness journeys, how self sabotage actually works, the daily standards to create real transformation, and how to stop relying on motivation and build some consistency that actually lasts. So, if you want real results that actually stick, you need this conversation. All right. So, today, Nini, we're going to be going over, like I said, that mindset shift. And welcome back, everybody. It is Transformation Tuesday. We are in our fifth week. And if you've been following this series, you already know we've been talking about training, nutrition, recovery. But today we're going to be going over things that actually determine whether or not it's going to stick long term, right? Mindset, identity, and how you see yourself.
The most important part is understanding that in the mindset shift, you have to remember that it's not about being in a diet and it's about shifting your identity away from that type of culture. And here's some things that you typically will hear people say. When they approaching needing to lose weight, they will say, "Hey, I'm going to be good for 30 days." Right? I
Mhm,
know we hear that a lot. I'm going to be good for 30 days.
mhm.
Or I've been good for 30 days. I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to try to stay disciplined this time. I hope I don't mess up. Right. And the problem is vocabulary, the language that you use when you talk about having a sustainable lifestyle. You must use words that are sustainable. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, oftentimes those words are very temporary words, very project focused.
So, why do you think that over this time people still won't ever notice that that could be the key to the change, that it is about the word change and disassociating yourself with that previous individual? How come it's always when I get back to my, my normal schedule? But if your normal schedule isn't what got you the results that you want, why would you go back to it as hard pressed as people do? You know what I'm saying? It's like soon as we get off of a transformation or something, or we just seen it with two individuals, right? We just had two people, one person do one fast and another person do another type of fast, right? It was two different fasts. And you talk to those individuals and they jump right back into their normal, what was their previous normalcy, instead of staying enlightened from the situation that they put themselves in and trying to keep that good feeling that they felt. They resorted back to what they know so ever much, right?
The hardest part when people want to lose weight, like there's so many pieces of desperation that you start to see people do different things. And the one thing that people really do know how to do is diet. And so often we think, well, losing weight is hard. Losing weight isn't hard because people actually do know how to diet on a regular basis. But what they don't know how to do is live a life so that you never have to diet down. And
Yeah.
so the thought processes are always very rigid. And you always think about what you did when you dieted. And that is a culture that we're trying to move away from. So it's always going to be the thing like, oh, I can't eat that. I can never eat. Right. I'm never going to eat anything white. I'm never going to eat the rice. I can't eat pasta. I can't eat this. Oh, I have to work out. I have to do this. I'm trying to be good. Those types of words are very emotionally triggering, but they're also very temporary. And so people are just used to that. And so we just have to help people start to look at how you eat and a lifestyle in a way that is not, I'm going to do it for a time. And that's
Yeah.
where usually people fail because the mindset is it's just for 30 days, it's for 60 days, 90 days. I can do that for 90 days. But you have to understand in order to live this life and have what you want, this is the thing that you're doing all the time. And so your language has to be different.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like me and Monique were just talking about it the other day, and she kind of had she heard herself, and I had brought it up, and she was like, "Man, you're kind of the second person within this week that just said something like that to me," and it was I have to go. She was about to say, I have to go. And I was like, no, we get to go do these things. You know, we get to go to the gym. We get to be able to have our kids all day with us. We get to, whatever it
Mhm.
is, go and socialize with some people, even if, you know, you feel, because once you say I have to, it becomes task oriented. And most of us would love to just sit down and do whatever. So, just again, changing those words. I fuel my body because that's who I am, not I'm on this diet or not, you know, I'm going through this transformation process. Like, no, I'm transformed. I'm in the golden hour of it. You know, I'm feeling good about it. And my other thing that kind of a two-part thing is like I love when Kobe said that he never negotiates, you know. So I always think about past self and future self and never allowing in between self to do that. You know, past self, you know, you came up with this idea of, man, I would love to lose 20 pounds. Right? Like, man, I would love to, because the moment that it happened in 2 seconds, it's a past thought, right?
Mhm.
Because now we have to initiate the process. And in that process, you're gonna have a lot of deviating thought processes and all of that, you know, but future self would be so happy once you hit that goal and probably want more. So if you can stay in the zone of what past self wanted and what future self would be just in love with, the in between of non-negotiating about being tired because you're going to have so many minutes of moments of fatigue or something's going to come up. So not negotiating with your in between self. You know, it's just like in college. You said that in high school you wanted to go to college. In the middle of it, you could think about dropping out 100 times. But I promise you, if future self got to see yourself graduate and walk across the stage, you're just jubilated. You know, so just trying to really switch that mindset into having that identity that removes decision fatigue. So you don't want to debate who you are, just execute and do those things and really live that lifestyle and change the mindset into thinking that you are it, you can be it, and not I have to do things like that, right?
Mhm. And Troy, your video, I can't see you anymore. I'm not sure. Can you see me?
Yeah, I'm looking dead at you. I had just
Yeah.
maximized my screen.
Okay, because you are now off my screen. I can't see it, so I'm not sure what the viewers are seeing, if they're still
Gotcha.
seeing both of us. But y'all, when you think about that identity and that debating with yourself, that's where, there we go. That's where oftentimes it becomes the self-sabotage because you are debating on what do I do? How do I want to do it? Should I do it? And you give yourself a little bit of an out. And it sounds like a good idea. And that's the problem. That's where the self sabotage comes in because when you view the lifestyle, when you view things as a task, when you view weight loss as just something temporary, it's just going to get me to point A to B, but you're not thinking about this is a life that I got to go A to Z and then back around. You view it like a project. That's the example I usually give clients. Like if you view your success in a health or fitness journey as just a project, that means a project starts and end. And if you use vocabulary that is very start and end, you never create a life. And so you focus on words that are very rigid, very temporary to get you there. And what happens is that's how you self-sabotage because all of a sudden it's not aligned with the other part of your goal, which is, hey, I said I want to lose 30 pounds. However, when you project focus, you only say, I'm going to lose 30 pounds and there's nothing behind it. But to the person who's saying, yes, I want to lose 30 pounds and I'm going to keep it off for the rest of my life, that means that's very different language, that's different approach, and it's a different mindset because now it's not just I'm doing this for 90 days or 6 months. This is something I'm doing forever, and it's not always tied to this weight loss. And so we have to be very careful because to get out of that, you have to start to be okay with I'm not comfortable, or I don't have to be as comfortable with this identity, this emotional eating, this inconsistency. Your actions will start to lay the foundation for a lifetime. And that's the thing that is very difficult. It's a lifetime of things. And you have to start to look at this like, so you heard Troy say your future self. What does your future self want? The only way you're going to get to your future self long term is you have to change the way you look at what's happening today.
Yeah. So just to kind of bleed into that a little bit more before we transition, where do you think people's friendships lie in there? I think sometimes, like, you're speaking about it, but you ever hear the duality life where people are like, well, I have my workout friends and then I have my going out and partying friends. And I think I think that that's kind of difficult to balance. It's like my dad would always say, you can't be halfway in the streets and halfway out. You kind of have to nestle yourself into one of them and kind of stick with it, because trying to balance that becomes frustrating, because it's a difficult balance, a balancing act to train all week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday get here. You still may even train on Saturday or Friday, to hopefully over super compensate for whatever you're going to do.
Hmm.
But then the results get drastically diminished. I remember when I was in the Navy, and the SEAL teams, our nutritionists would be like, "You guys drink all the way up to Sunday. You're not recovered, and that alcohol is probably not out your system to about Tuesday, Wednesday." So maybe you get Thursday of fully being decent, and then Friday you start the
You
trend
never
right
get
back
it.
over again. And I was just like, man,
Hmm.
that is
Hmm.
crazy. So it was like having to get back to where I'm going, detach from that friend circle of like, I can't keep doing that and appropriating that into my life if that's not what future self wants to look and be like.
I'll tell you why, and especially when it comes to relationships, whether it be friendships, co-workers, spouses, significant other, even your children, because so much of what you do is reflected in the eyes of the people you're with. And oftentimes, to the person, they're so busy worried about what the other person perceives of them or what that
Yeah.
person believes. And especially if somebody has had to start and stop over again, right? There are people in your life who've seen you start and stop. And so there's judgment, your fear, people can get afraid of, well, what is that person going to say? Or at the first sign of that friend or that family member who says, I thought you was on a diet, right? They're so thrown off and you're like, well, what do you mean, and so you're so offended because it's your identity that we're talking about. It's you, the person,
Mhm.
versus being okay with, this is what I want to do, this is the way I want to do it, and that your people around you just respect it. They don't have to agree with it, they don't have to be a part of it, they don't have to do it with you, but it's a respect of your choice. And so oftentimes though, confronting respecting of someone's choices can oftentimes, for a lot of people, end in a relationship that is no longer. And that is hard to swallow when you realize, hey, there may be someone in your life that can't remain in your life because they don't respect your choices. And that is very
Mhm.
hard for people to confront. And so while we say this is a solo journey, for many people, it's not a solo journey because there's other people that are in your way that you don't know how to share what you want without realizing that I might have to walk away. And it
Man.
shouldn't be like that, but it's hard. And that's what happens. And those are the things that we talk about self sabotage because you're afraid of what other people are worried about. And you can't say to them, now that I'm good, this is what I'm doing without worrying about how they perceive it.
Yeah, that's big. I think that's a big one on the self-sabotage, is holding on to things that that aren't healthy for you, just out of common, like, just it's the thing that you've been doing, it's just that's the friend that you hang out with, that's who you go out with, and you haven't, like we said, so this is where it bleeds into, you just haven't seen yourself in that image of who you want to become completely. You still see yourself as this old version of you, just playing a small role in this new version, but you're like, no, I got to get back to this, or this is my safe space, this is my happy space. And that's never going to last, you know. So men and women don't rise to their goals, they fall to their identity. Or like I always say, men and women don't rise to the occasion, they revert back to their highest level of training. And you just have to train the brain to really believe in whatever it is and know that it has to be a full switch. It can't be um like I said, a bouncing back and forth or playing half in the streets and half out of the
Hmm.
streets. Uh,
And I have to say this because this is a client that you'll know who I'm talking about when I say it. But when we talk about self sabotage, we have a client right now, and I hope she sees this. We have a client right now who passed through the holidays without gaining 10, 15 pounds. Now, the catch over the holidays was that she was supposed to be losing 10. But the fact is, she didn't gain 10, that she gains every single year
yeah,
because it's the self sabotage. You know what you want to do, you're on the right track, but then every other thing that's happening around you is influencing your decisions. And it's so hard to make the leap. But we were so excited this year because she finally made the leap for the first time in probably 10 years that she didn't gain 10, 12 pounds. So we joke about it and we say, well, that's a net net. That's a win. So while
that's
we didn't
that.
lose
Yeah,
10, right? It's a plus, it's like a plus, it's like a plus 15 because, right? Or it's like a minus 15 because we didn't lose the 10, but we lost 5, but we didn't gain the extra 10. So it's like, oh my God, we in a 15-pound win because we didn't see the windfall of her losing sight of what she wants to do with the sabotage because we finally got past the hump of changing a real behavior. So,
yeah. Yeah, I think as you're talking about that, and I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm just sitting here thinking like, what occurs during my self sabotage? Because I'm not here to say that I'm ever completely on point. I don't know that mine is outside sources. You know what I mean? Like I don't think mine is, man, such and such is in the hospital, or my job is this. It's not external forces. It's just me saying, I just want something else right now. I'm bored, and some days I get out. I don't allow the boredom to just know that it's consistency, and that's what helps and withstands the results. So mine sometimes I feel like it's just out of boredom,
mhm.
not necessarily using those I don't want to say excuses, but whatever else the other ply may be in order to say, hey, this is, it's the holidays, so I let my guard down. I don't really like saying that. Maybe I don't like saying it, but I don't believe that it's that. You've now been around me for a while. I don't know, maybe it is, but just trying to
Mm-mm.
think like what is my self-sabotage?
I could probably tell you, but
Which day?
it's overcommitting.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's like putting the bar so high
It's
that like
overcommitting
after a
that can
while
stop
I'm
you
like, man, this is
because
a
now
task
you
right
now
now.
you're
Like it's
stuck.
yeah, like that's what it is. I feel like it's setting my bar extremely high or extremely intense, and I'm just like, man,
Yeah, and then you can't
this is
relish in the
so
things.
much right
Yeah,
now.
because then you can't even relish in the things that you're accomplishing and the things that you're doing well because
Yeah,
there were too many things, right?
yeah, I
But
agree.
yeah, and so I'll tell you for many people where that self-sabotage comes into play, and I think for those of you who may be listening now or you hear this later, and as we kind of bring it back later to how we transform people, the mind is the hardest thing to transform because you're in such a habit of things you do. In real life examples, I've got a client right now, a male client who is very busy, right? But guess what? I think all of you listening would say, we're busy too.
Very busy.
We're
I know.
really we're really busy too. But he has a very difficult job that he worked so hard to get. But the problem is everything surrounds the job. I have to travel with the job. I travel with the team. I travel doing these things. And so everything becomes, this makes it harder for me because I travel. And so when we look at what you want and the consistency and how we build identities around what people are doing, we have to shift their thought process into the identity can't be just around your job or what you do. It has to be around the person who you want to be and become.
Yeah,
Because when you are more focused on the person you want to be and become, yes, do you have a stressful job? Yep. Do we have family life? Yep. Do you have children? Yep. But those are all things that you ask for. Those are things that are part of your life. And unless you're trying to give up one of those, it's still going to be be there. So we have to stop looking at those things as reasons why we cannot do something, and just understand that those are the variables that do not change. Those are the constants. And so
Mhm.
we have to then look at what are the variables that we can work with around things that are constant in your life, and make that be a joyful thing versus this negative thing. And then you make reasons around why something cannot be.
That's crazy that you said it just at that perfect timing, because I wanted to go over the four daily identity standards. So that it was like
Mhm.
you're saying you got to shift, and in order to shift, you have to know what you're trying to become. And if you were to ask somebody who's super disciplined, what do they do every day? I think that they would. We all kind of. I would hope that I believe I'm one of those individuals, and you're one of those individuals that are extremely disciplined. We all, lag somewhere, but I think that we both do things with intention, right? When you go to the gym, you know why you're traveling, especially you coming all the way over to our gym. It has to be intentional for you and know what you're getting. You know that you're coming there to get good community and train with some cool people. Plus, you're getting your additional work and growth and things. So we're not just moving, but we train with a purpose. We know why we're doing everything. Like I said, especially you guys is additional work. So standard number one is train with intention. I would think the second standard is our protein in consumption, so intake. So fueling is not optional. You and I both know that, especially in our aging, that we need to optimize protein, and with everybody else around us, we need to optimize protein and just optimize what things that people like. I think that that's what I've learned the last few months. The biggest thing from you right now is just really gearing, not necessarily restricting, but say, hey, what are you doing in your day to day that allows you to be able to have those things, those items? Are you putting out enough energy and effort in order to lump things like that within your diet, or is that going to constitute over to being stagnant and stale and fatty? So, and not necessarily eating just to be able to, or training just to be able to do things, but it's like um really having optimizing of usage. Number three standard, I would go with moving every day. Again, that's you walk, you get your steps in, and right now we're really pushing getting at least 10,000 steps in our little goals group that we have on
Mhm.
Sundays. Mel is pushing us all to. She wants to get her 10K a day, so it's kind of motivating us, a lot of us, to try to get our 10,000 steps a day. So even on rest days, walking and mobility, doing something, just getting up and moving, and transitioning in from saying, "Hey, today is an off day, so I'm just going to lay here and be lazy." At no point in time does a disciplined individual say that they're going to be completely lazy that for hours of a day. And the fourth standard would be sleeping like recovery matters, because it does. Our last topic, right? Our last topic, last week's topic, really focus and emphasize on recovery, and sleep was massively ingested in that one, or inputted in that one. So because sleep does matter, and I was telling them on our Sunday goals call that I went to bed super early on Saturday night and just felt rejuvenated come Sunday morning, and just understanding again, even at our experience level, it's still just being like, man, that really is a big deal right
Mhm.
there.
Yep.
It's such a big deal to be able to get some rest and feel good the next day, and recover.
I'll say this, what's funny is I'm sure that as you said those things, there are people who are saying, well, either that's boring, or that seems
Mhm.
extreme. Why do we have to do all those things? But that's how you build consistency. And consistency is going to be the thing that helps you create the person you want to become. That will be your identity. What are the habits and behaviors that you do most consistently, right? Because usually people are so worried about it being so perfect. It's not about things being perfect for you, but it is around how did you create habits to keep you consistent. And I know sometimes you feel like when you watch so many things on TV and we're bombarded with advertisements and we in social media so much, you feel like things have to change constantly, or that you have to do the next big thing, the next
Yeah.
trendiest thing. But the fact is, it's not this glamorous thing,
It's not.
and it's very consistent. And so for a lot of people, they feel like, well, doing those things to be consistent, that's boring. But unfortunately, that actually is how people develop habits,
Yes,
because it's
so
not
it
it's
is.
not that,
It
right?
is
You have to
because
keep
in
doing the
the
same
atomic
things over
habits,
and over.
Yeah, we were. I'm reading that and the Atomic Habits, and it was just a portion in either the pod or the book that I'm reading right now, and it was just again talking about how boredom wins. Like who can stay bored because most people want to change every week. You know, I want a new diet because they just got bored of this one. I want a new training program, or people, you know, they got coaches that do a different exercise every week for their clients and we stay in programs and I'm like, I know you guys probably are like, man, we did this last week and everybody else does something, but that's the only way you get better is to consistently keep hitting those targets, changing the variable slightly, but just consistently doing your back squat, doing your deadlift, eating your you know your all your protein at this time and drinking your water and getting like doing those things over time. That is the 1% better each and every day and you will get
Hmm.
great at doing that. And it's not about moving the bar drastically. They speak about if you were flying from like Japan to or LA to New York City, but if you change it 3 degrees, just 3 degrees differently on that route from LA to New York, you'll end up in DC, two totally different places. You know what I'm saying? Like just that one small little 2 extra degrees difference. So that 1% or 2% of execution in a better way will over time just keep stacking on and snowballing in such a positive manner. And that is progressive overload. And that's how you get better in any and everything. And it's just
No,
I'm
no.
sorry to cut into you know
Hmm.
what you were saying, but it would just hit me because it was like I just that's what being in a marathon, like a marathon runner isn't a better individual. They're just okay with being bored. It's 3 hours and they push through obviously some of the fatigue, but like your ultra marathon people, those people that are doing obscene things, they're just okay with being bored. Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, they
Over and
just went there
over.
and constantly were
Hmm.
doing the same exact thing over and over and over till they've done it so much that nobody else was willing to do it that much
Hmm.
to be able to be better than them.
Yep.
You
And
know,
that's why I always say, everybody, we have to learn in your routines how we keep you happy within things that you like so that you can build repetition. And
yeah,
repetition isn't your enemy. Repetition is how we get better. And sometimes when you hear we're going to do something the same way, it doesn't always mean the same thing. And it
yes,
doesn't always mean that nothing changes, but it's just the core of what we're
yeah,
doing is the same thing. I'll give you real examples. We may be talking about get your protein, goal every day, every week. It didn't mean that you had to eat the same proteins every day,
yep,
right? There's variability in that to keep it fun for you. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is emphasize a protein intake and an amount, but there are variables in there that we can do different.
yeah,
If it's your workout and you're saying, hey, I know that I want my body to look like this, or I know I want to drop my body fat, or I know I want to get stronger at this, how are you going to get that? It's because you are doing some things over and over, but there is variability. You
mm-hmm,
may say, maybe let's say I want my lats to be bigger, right? That may be lat pull downs, maybe that's pull ups, maybe that's rows,
yeah,
but it's still things that you're progressively doing that are getting the same results, but we have variability in it, but we didn't change it completely.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how
It's
people
like
get better.
I took that maybe 2 years ago. This guy named Santa Dada was the Mr. Olympia, and he was just saying like they did the same, like to hear who Mr. Olympia is, this guy is the number one bodybuilder, and to hear his training program be so basic. And it was like, yeah, I would hit this, and this on these days. And it was like, yeah, I mean, I know I'm doing quads on Monday. I might not do a back squat every Monday. So maybe on Monday I might do a Smith machine. Maybe I might do leg press. Maybe I might do this. But like I know I'm hitting legs. So that's even what I mean. It's like
Hmm.
not having the varied training exercises so different. But it's like stay within your target. Like you guys hit back on Tuesday or Wednesdays. Like, okay, maybe this week you want to work on more rowing movements. Maybe next week you want to work on more pull downs, but like you're still targeting that back area, that posterior chain.
Hmm.
So just, sticking with those things. And it's like you said, just still finding a happy space within it or something that allows the boredom to not be so dialed in, but then also just being able to relish in boredom and not always needing this little pixie dust and glitter all over everything in order to lock in, because that's not all the way what locking in is. It doesn't
Hmm.
get to be the glitz and glamour. You don't get to have the pancake every single day. That's what you
Yeah.
want, but that's not what it comes to be.
Yeah, because true transformation, everybody, doesn't happen with new things, right? These aren't new clothes. Like when we think about the new clothes, I want something new. I want something new. In order to get the life you want, in order to get the job, for example, if it's a job you want, if it's a person you're dating, like think about everything in life
Yes.
that you do. There's some consistent things that have to be done to get to what you want and to keep it. If it's a relationship, what are the things that you did to start dating this person, then to stay with this person, then to be with them for a long period of time? There's consistency there of things that you did that you need to keep doing, right?
Yeah.
Then, but there's variability in it. You made a small change, but it's still something that is the core of what got you there. If it's a job and you are trying to get a promotion or you're trying to be the best in your field, there's things that you are consistently doing. If it's a
Mhm.
health journey, a fitness journey, like what we're talking about in transforming you, there's a mindset shift that has to happen that is consistent over and over and over in order for you to get what you want. And those are the kinds of things that we're doing inside of the 12-week transformation. Is we're building behaviors, we're building new identities so that you can live it over the long haul.
Yeah, man, you're not just going to be following instruction. You build standards, you're changing your mindset in this thing, and that's how results get in, and that's how they last longer. So if you're ready to stop dieting and start becoming, the link is going to be in our description and in our bio. Next week we're going to be talking about cravings, emotional eating, and why they happen and how to actually control them. Man, it's crazy right there though, because we just had this yesterday with me.
Yes. And
Right,
guess
so
what? And the control, y'all, does not come from willpower because willpower alone is going to fail you. It's a strategy and a structure. It's what are the things you put in place to help you be successful. It's not willpower alone.
I feel like I had to use, like, I feel like, hold on, no, before we go, this is real life. Right? I had a
Yeah.
craving yesterday, and instead of acting on the craving in the moment, I reached out to my coach and was like, "Yo, can we implement something of this nature into the diet? Instead of just acting on it." And that's that, because willpower wasn't going to get it. Willpower had me willing my way to Publix for
To the
getting these ingredients, but I just wanted to make sure that you're like, this is copacetic because we have some goals, we have some
Mhm.
things that we're trying to change. So I didn't want to throw us off. I wouldn't have called it emotional eating. It was just a big craving and it looked good. So we appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all next Tuesday, 12 p.m. Make sure you guys are ready for that. It's going to be a good conversation talking about those cravings and emotional eating. Thank you,
All
Nene.
right. See you next week.